The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, North County Regional Fire Authority, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36874. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the face of the front bumper, on the passenger side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving just inside that location, you'll find 2 attachment points protruding through the front bumper. Just inside that location, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving over to the driver's side face of the bumper, you'll find dual air horns. Moving up onto the bumper extension on the passenger side is where you'll find a 2.5-inch swivel discharge. Located directly in the center, D-handle gains you access into your tubbed storage location for the front bumper hose load. Moving up onto the cab, on the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light, and then just inside that location, the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Just up from that location, a turn indicator and also combination emergency warning light. Just above that, you'll find grab handles on the passenger and driver's side. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge, you'll find the mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 clearance identification lights. Directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. And above that, up onto the very top of the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Let's move around now to the driver's side of the vehicle. We'll start with the front section of the cab. Let's start with the front axle, where you'll find a visual sight gauge indicator with the front axle, steel wheels, and Goodyear tires. As we move to the front bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move to the step well, you'll find your air inlet and then also shoreline inlet auto eject plug. As we move to the A-pillar, you'll find your clearance and turn indicator light. Moving to the individual doors, you'll find your door lock and latch. This is easily accessible with a gloved hand and is also keyed. Right next to it, you'll find the grab handles for gaining entry and exit into the vehicle. Directly over the front axle is where you'll find an emergency warning light side-facing. And then directly above that, you'll find a side-facing scene light. To the rear of the cab wall is where you'll find your LED water tank level indicator. Let's move from this location. We'll pass through the midsection of the pump, where we'll come back to that and talk about that in great detail. Let's move to the body section. We'll start at the very bottom section, where you'll find 2 emergency warning lights. Just in front of the rear axle and to the rear of the axle, you'll find folding wheel chock storage. You'll also find a midsection side-facing marker turn indicator light, and then also an emergency warning light directly over the rear axle. There are 2 emergency warning lights in the upper zone, and there's also a side-facing floodlight toward the rear upper section. Let's move to the rear of the apparatus. Down at the very bottom section, you'll find ground lights located here. These are your perimeter lights. Also in the very center section, you'll find a tow bar. Moving to the outer edge, you'll find an emergency light, brake, turn, and reverse light combination. Also, you'll find some switch locations located here in the section for the rear section of your apparatus. An LED water tank level indicator just above that. Emergency warning light above that. And then also in a recessed location on the driver's side is where you'll find your backup camera. As we move from this location to the very center area, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. You'll also find the traffic advisor located in the very center section. Moving up to the very top section, you'll find a storage location. Lift and turn latch will gain you access into that space. Also, there are 2 rear-facing floodlights in the upper portion, and on the very far right, on the passenger side upper portion, you'll find your ladder rack. As we move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, let's start now with the rear section of the body. We'll start down at the very bottom section. Underneath the vehicle is where you'll find your automatic tire chains. These are controlled from within inside the cab. Also, you'll find your diesel exhaust located on this side. Just above that location, you'll find the 2 emergency warning lights in the lower zone. And then also you'll find an emergency warning light directly over the rear axle. As we move upward from that location, you'll find side-facing emergency warning lights and then also the side-facing scene light at the very rear section. Let's move to the cab area, where you'll find once again that visual sight gauge indicator in the front axle, steel wheel, Alcoa wheel. Just in front of the front axle is where you'll find the drain for your front discharge. You'll also find same configuration as you have on the driver's side, emergency warning light on the bumper extension, emergency warning light directly over the front axle. You'll also find a side-facing camera. This will activate when your turn signal is activated. And then also door lock and latch combination, keyed lock, and grab handles located right next to that for gaining access in and out of the cab. Directly over the front axle at the very top section is where you'll find your side-facing emergency warning light. And then as we move toward the rear cab wall, you'll find that LED water tank level indicator. Let's go back to the midsection on the passenger side. At the very top, you'll find your crosslays. We'll identify those in just a few moments. Also, as we move down, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge passenger side, large diameter discharge on the passenger side, the control module for the equipment rack, and then also your cab tilt function control module just in front of that. As we move down to the lower section, you'll find the American flag Eagle logo. This is your large diameter pump inlet on the passenger side. And then just in front of that, you'll find the auxiliary inlet passenger side locally controlled 2.5-inch ball valve. At the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. The running board on this side also has a tubbed storage location for hose storage and retaining straps. Let's go back to the powered equipment rack. We do have some danger information labels and then also instructions here to raise and also to lower your powered equipment rack. Let's go ahead and take a look at the equipment rack itself. This is in the fully deployed position. This houses our ground ladders, and then just underneath the lower section, it handles all of our long-handled tool storage. Let's go ahead and move up on top of the vehicle since the ladder rack is down. We'll identify items within this area. This is referred to as the dunnage area. In the very rear section, you have a covered storage for your hose load. As we look inside, you'll find a hose bed divider. This is movable for left to right. Let's go back to the dunnage now and identify a few of those items. First, let's start with your top fill location for your water tank. As we move forward of this location, you'll find the top fill location for your foam tank A. As we move over to the left in this image, you'll find the storage location for your drafting tube. Moving back, just a close-up of the water tank fill location. As we move forward to this location, I would like to point out we do have a label regarding warning, do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move to the red line or booster line, you'll find a free tension spool knob on the side and then also a location to insert your manual tool for manual rewind. Also located in the center is your master stream device for the deluge. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the dunnage area. In this area, let's move around to the front cab section roof area where you'll find a few warning placards. This is a non-walking surface and that's why we have this placard. You'll also find on the rear section of the cab wall a rubber tether. This allows you to lift your crosslay cover and attach it while loading hose. This is a close-up here of the warning placard. Let's move back to the front bumper area where you'll find the side-facing emergency warning light, the 2.5-inch swivel discharge, and then as we move to the front section or face of the front bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving back to the center area in the tubbed storage location, you'll find a notch cutout. This is so that the hose inside the storage area can remain attached to the front 2.5-inch discharge. D-handle gains you access into this space. As we move forward to this location, you have 2 tether points protruding through the front bumper. Also in the very center, you'll find recessed electronic siren and PA speaker. As we move to the very far outside edge of the image, this is going to be the driver's side, you'll find dual air horns. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of those. This is the front discharge, once again foam capable. As we move to the storage location for your front hose, this has dry deck material inside. Let's go ahead and move now into the cab section of the driver's space and identify a few items within this area. Let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, you'll find safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, and also electric window controls. Right next to that, you'll find a grab handle. Let's move inside the cab area to the very step area or step well where you'll find the air inlet and also Shoreline auto eject. As we move up onto the top section, you'll also find your plugged into Shoreline power. The battery voltage indicator will become active. Let's move just inside about the right ankle of the operator where you'll find this yellow placard indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also houses the VIN number, all the fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floorboard, you'll find your mechanical siren foot pedal, brake treadle, and accelerator. About the left knee, you'll find the master battery switch, the tech module, and also engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, and also display port. Just underneath that, we have some switches here. This is the ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switch. As we move just above that, you'll find an additional switch panel housing the tire chains. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions here from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump. For pump operations, this needs to be completed with inside the cab. As we move to the right, you'll find the flat mirror and convex mirror controls. Let's take a look at the dash area where you'll find your transmission, oil, def level, and water temp. On the right side, you'll find front air and rear air, fuel, and volts. In the very center, you'll find the tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic tally light information will display above and below the speedometer. As we move to the very far left, you'll find the ignition and start switch. Just inside of that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Headlight switch and a panel switch allow you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. On the right is the OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. General view here just to the right of the operator. Let's start in the very center where you'll find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information, function, and touch button screen. To the right, you'll find the windshield wiper, control, push for fluid. Engine brake on and off, a setting switch for that engine brake for low, medium, and high, a front wheel lock, air horn, siren selector switch, and then also mirror heat. Let's move just downward from this location where you'll find the yellow diamond. It is the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. As to the move to the right, you'll find the Allison transmission pad selector. Also an informational note here to pump in drive. As we move further to the right, you'll find this warning level regarding your backup alarm. Moving further to the right, climate control, heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving further to the right, you'll find 12-volt access, siren brake, and mechanical siren. You'll also find your control module for your electronic siren and PA speaker system. As we look overhead of the operator position, I would like to point out this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 1 inch, length of the vehicle, 32 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating, 43,500 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may alter any of these, please update this placard. As we move further to the right, we have some switching panels. Let's start first on the left with the emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. When any of these switches have been activated, the light will illuminate, indicating that it is on. Just to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor. An additional switch panel here. We have a red for the siren brake. That's an outline for it. Front scene, driver scene, passenger scene, side scene, and load manager. Just a reminder, when any of these switches have been activated, they will illuminate, indicating that they are on. Let's move just to the right of this location, where you'll find in the center this red light indicating do not move your apparatus. You may have a compartment open or ajar. Also, that is tied to your equipment ladder rack. As we move to the very center, you'll find push on and off red or white lenses. This is directly behind the driver's seat. As we move back exterior to the front wheel, where you'll find that visual sight gauge indicator, Goodyear tires, and steel wheels. Let's move to the rear section of the cab area, where you'll find a fixed door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window controls, and a grab handle. As we move inside, you'll find there are two rear-facing EMS compartments that do have netting. There's also lighting inside. There are two forward-facing SCBA seats at the very rear. Just over the top of those EMS compartments, we do have additional storage locations with lighting. Inside the compartment here, you'll find at the very top section, there is a switch to activate the light. Inside that, you'll also find a 12-volt DC connection point. In the very center section, you'll find a lift and turn latch in the very center. This gains you access to all of your daily checks for oil and transmission. As we move to the rear, you'll find once again SCBA seats forward facing. Overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, and then also your intercom system. As we move back to the exterior, let's start now with the top section here on the far left with the crosslay 1, 2, and also a 2.5 inch crosslay. These are all foam capable. There is a pull down netting that's activated with this orange strap. As we move to the pump functions, you'll find your pump intake and also pump discharge. These are your two master gauges. I would like to point out we do have some warning placards. This warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from the side and loft, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we move to the right, you'll find the intake relief valve. There are instructions on the module itself. You'll also find when you are engaged from inside the cab, the indicator OK to pump will illuminate. This is your vacuum and pressure test gauge ports. They are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. Just beneath that, you'll find the engine cooler. This is a twist, not a pull. As we move to the right and further down, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled crosslays. Just beneath that, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll come back to that in just a few moments. Also, the passenger side large diameter discharge. Your Husky foam system control module, which is the red module. This is for the Husky 3 foam system. There's also a foam tank indicators for level tank A and then a water tank level indicator. There are two plaques here. One is the instructions and then the other is the operations of the specifications of your Husky foam system. Let's move just to the right where you'll find your throttle pressure governor located in the very center section. As we move to the right, you'll find your tank to pump, and then right next to that is the tank fill and recirculating line. As we move further down to the throttle pressure governor, just underneath that you'll find a black speaker. This does have the ability to open and close, allowing you to brighten or dampen the sound for audible alarms. Just to the right, you'll find the number one 2.5 inch discharge. Also a warning placard here regarding fall. Always face the vehicle while climbing onto it. And then just beneath that, the manual pump shift. Let's move further down and slightly to the left where you'll find this warning placard indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after proper training. You'll also find the driver's side auxiliary inlet. It's a 2.5-inch locally controlled ball valve. The Eagle American flag Pierce logo. This is your large diameter pump inlet on the driver's side. You also have your Hale placard indicating the type of pump that you have. At the very top section, we covered this. This is the manual pump shift, and then just beneath that, you'll find the pump drain. Let's move further down on the pump panel. At the very bottom section, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move further to the right, a warning placard regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. You'll also find a warning regarding foam failure. Do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam. You'll also find a lift and turn latch on this panel door. Let's take a look behind that. This is for your foam operations. There's a yellow handle that matches the informational instructions on the back side of the door. You'll also find at the very top section the foam drain. This is just a simple quarter turn rotation. Let's move back to the latch real quick here. Once again, leave the valve handle horizontal for foam operations. To fill, move the handle for vertical operation. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left is the associated GPM for that test pressure. On the right is the associated RPM. This also has a governed speed for pump operations of 2,400. This is the information regarding your Hale. It is a QMAX 150. And at the very bottom, just under the running board, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. Let's go ahead and move into the roll-up compartments. We'll start first with the compartment that houses your battery charger. When plugged into Shoreline Power, at the very top section you see it's plugged in, that will activate and maintain batteries. As we move to the rear of that, you'll find SCBA bottle storage, also a side-facing emergency warning light. Your bottle storage does have retaining straps for safety. As we move further to the rear, you'll find the silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As we move that flap downward, we'll expose your DEF tank, which is a blue cap, and we'll go over that in just a few moments. As we move back to the bottle storage, you can see the retaining straps here for safety. As we move back to the rear axle, once again, Goodyear tires and steel wheel. As we move to the ultra low sulfur diesel fill location, it's the silver cap. Once again, if you pull downward on that flap, it will expose the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. It's the blue cap. Let's go ahead and move to the very rear compartment where you'll find adjustable shelves and also a pull-out tray in the lower section. The pull-out tray does have a lock. It will lock into position, so you'll need to release that mechanism in the lower right. General view with all compartments open. Within the compartments, you'll find 12-volt DC access blocks. And then let's go ahead and move to the rear of the apparatus where you'll find your emergency warning light, brake, turn, and reverse light. These are those two cupped switches here for your hose bed lights and rear scene. Just above that, you'll find the water tank level indicator. There are two emergency lights, one on the passenger, one on the driver's side. Just above that, you'll find a recessed camera located in the upper portion of the body. As we move from this location down to the center area, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. And then we'll also find our traffic advisor located within the center directly over the Pierce logo. In the upper right, you'll find an additional storage location for your folding ladder and also long-handled tool storage. Work light and hose bed light, those were the cupped on the switches I previously mentioned. As we move to the hose bed, once again, hose bed divider is movable. Let's go ahead and cover a few warning placards. First, entanglement hazard, because those lines coming from the back of the truck, there's the possibility of entanglement. Also, pressure hazard warning, because caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. And then to the very far right, our last warning in this area is going to be always face the vehicle while climbing onto the vehicle. Let's go ahead and move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle. We'll identify a few items within this area. First, all compartment doors open. Let's start toward the rear of the vehicle, where you'll find a pull-out tray in the lower section and 2 adjustable shelves. This is a through compartment, meaning to the opposite side of the vehicle. Each compartment does have that 12-volt access. This is the pull-out tray in the very bottom section, release mechanism located on the lower right side. As we move forward to this location, you'll find SCBA storage and also SCBA bottle and oxygen storage. At the very top section, you'll find dual tool boards. D-handle gains you access, and there is a lock on each of the tool boards to maintain them in position. Let's move to the diesel exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen operations. As we move forward, you'll find in the very front compartment adjustable shelves and also LED lighting. We're now to the midsection, which we've kind of covered on previous discussions, but let's take a look. We have a 2.5-inch cross lane number 1 and cross lane number 2. Once again, all of those are foam capable. In the pan door area, you'll find the fill location for your hydraulic reservoir. As we move down to the pump panel itself area on the passenger side, we'll identify a few items. Let's first start with the passenger side 2.5-inch discharge. As we move just to the right, you'll find the large diameter passenger side discharge. Moving further to the right, you'll find your powered equipment rack and then also cab lift. There are instructions to operate both of those. Ensure that all items are secure in the cab prior to tilting the cab. At the very bottom, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move forward to this location into the cab area, let's start with the rear section of the crew cab. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. Overhead in the ceiling area, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, and then also your intercom system. In the forward section, just above the EMS compartments, you'll find additional storage. There is lighting inside. In those compartments, you'll find webbing and then also compartment lights and adjustable shelves. In each of those, you'll also find that 12-volt DC block. As we move to the front section or officer space of the vehicle, let's start with the door panel. Affix that door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and also a grab handle. Your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. Please do not mount anything within this area or seek the owner's manual for more information. To the right side, you'll find on the A-pillar your windshield wiper fluid fill location. General view overhead of the officer space, same thing, push on and off white or red lenses. This is your fire comm system for your radio headsets, and then also a switch panel for front scene, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, side scene, and then also Opticom momentary. As we move from this location, we're going to go general view inside the cab area. Your officer seat does have an SCBA in a backrest. Let's talk about now the next set of images are going to be that of the cab tilted and also include chassis component pictures. Just a reminder, when you're in the downward or stow position of your cab, these are the locks that maintain your cab into position. When activating that switch, please hold for at least 5 seconds to ensure the cab locks. As we move through the rest of the functions here on these pictures, they're general information pictures for you. Your vehicle is equipped with a TAC 4 front independent suspension. When you have activated the cab lift and the cab is in the full upright position, it is important to stow the safety bar in location. When the bar has been stowed in location, make sure that you maintain equal pressure on both the left and right cab cylinders. Do not lower the cab back onto the safety bar. As we move to the batteries, you'll find just underneath the battery your stud location for connection. There is a positive and negative. As we move to the hydraulic reservoir, there is a fill location here and also a manual pump. Congratulations, North County Regional Fire Authority, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 36871. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.